What changes can we expect to see in Argentina under Javier Milei, and especially how will his presidency change Argentina's relations with other countries, including the U.S.? Joining us now to discuss, we have Mrkos Siotkis, editor-in-chief of the Portuguese edition of the Epoch Times. Mrkos Siotkis, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Argentina's new president has been dubbed by the Washington Post as, quote, a leap into the unknown. Now, the U.S. has an interest as we have about $30 billion in trade with Argentina. How do you see this election impacting the U.S.?
Well, it impacts the U.S. a lot. And just first of all, isn't a leap into the unknown a little better than the known 140% inflation year on year that we have right now? I mean, the country's economy is just in ruins. So it impacts the U.S. in a bunch of ways. First of all, the previous government, the previous administration was very pro-China. Geopolitically, China has been gaining a lot of leverage in Argentina. They have a space station in Neuquén province. And I mean, even talking rare earth minerals, Argentina is a resource for lithium-ion battery resources. So there's this aspect of it. Other than that, it also impacts U.S. interest in the sense that Argentina, it is unknown whether they'll be able to do better with their debt, but they were doing very poorly. So a change is welcome in the way they were dealing with their foreign debt. Those are a few ways it does impact the U.S. But other than that, the previous regime was also very pro-Cuba, very pro-Iran even. They were excusing Iran and Hezbollah action to an extent. So I think talking geopolitically and even debt-wise, we'll see. But the previous administration was not doing a good job in terms of U.S. interests.
And Mrkos, you brought up the Chinese Communist Party, and Argentina has a lot of debt to China, and right ahead of this election, China actually loaned Argentina $6.5 billion, hoping that the former economy minister was going to win instead. Now, Javier has vowed that under his administration, Argentina will do no business with communist countries, including China. How likely is that given the amount of debt we're talking about?
So, the way he phrased it was more in the sense that he would not promote ties economically or otherwise with what he calls murderous regimes. He even came as far as calling socialists trash and quote-unquote human excrement, which was very poorly seen in the left-wing press in South America. Now, if you take that back to China, geopolitics, and big power competition in the region, Javier is very likely to not promote ties in the strict sense, but he also said that he's not going to forbid private citizens of exchanging, as that by definition is against his quote-unquote libertarian ideology. But now Argentina is a more complex situation if you're talking debt. Now let's talk China, let's talk the CCP. If you just get China debt, Argentina has a problem with what they call cross-cancellation clauses. What a cross-cancellation clause basically means is that if you want to cancel something in one contract, then all of the other CCP state-owned banks will basically have to be reviewed or might have to be cancelled. The CCP has gained so much leverage in Argentina like that they were able to get away when former President Mauricio Macri tried to expel the People's Liberation Army from managing a space station in the province of Neuquén, which had restricted access even to the president himself and local authorities. So the leverage is very big. We'll see how it plays out. He's not likely to deal with the debt problem anytime soon from what the contracts say themselves and the way they influence local politics. But I think he might have some leverage in dealing with stopping the promotion of ties, maybe getting out of the Belt and Road Initiative, maybe getting out of the BRICS bloc of countries, which are all things he has previously suggested he intended to do. So it will reduce the influence to some extent, but there are long-running contracts he won't be able to push out so soon in my analysis.